horrific. A teenager, 14 years of age, slammed by a resource officer in the school system, gets his skull fractured. Let me do this first. Let me bring up the shots we have, the screenshots we have of the footage in the hallway, okay? You see this footage, right? The officer slams this teenager. This teenager only weighs about 130, 140 pounds, okay? Let's go to the hospital bed. The cop injured this student so much, he had to be hospitalized. But the most serious injury was a skull fracture and permanent brain damage to the child. Permanent brain damage by the school resource officer. We got some work to do. Let's put up his picture, this cop, okay? This happened in Rockford, Illinois. A Rockford, Illinois high school student was brutally attacked by a resource officer. He was violently slammed by this cop. Not only has it been psychologically traumatizing, it has been physically dramatic. The student resource officer, his name is Bradley Lauer, a Rockford police officer, was the man who slammed the teen when he was walking the halls during class. Well, what kind of high crime or felony is that? Walking the halls during class. So this is what you do to someone who does not have a hall pass? That's how you operate? Coward? There's more. Let's put up the kid's picture. It has been released by the media. 14-year-old Parris Moore was the 4'11", 140-pound student, was knocked out cold when this cop slammed him into the ground. Moore also faced charges, but not right away. Not until 2 months later, after the family hired a lawyer to file a lawsuit against the school district and the police. Do you see what they're doing here? They filed lawsuit. They sought to file a lawsuit 2 months after this cop brutally assaulted their son. So what did the system do in response? They did not advocate for the child. They did not come out and say, we have a cop who is adverse to the values of this department. They said, okay, you want to do that? We're going to lock up your son. We're going to charge him with the crime now. See, if he committed a crime, he would have been charged that day. But see, there's no statutory code that makes it illegal to walk in a hallway during class. There's more. Moore was wandering, the kid was simply wandering the hallway during classes when the assistant principal tried to grab him, and then the cop approached him, slammed Moore to the hard floor, head first. You don't even treat an adult like that. This coward ass cop decided to do this to a 14-year-old child that barely weighed 140 pounds. That's what he decided to do inside of a school system. The reason why this makes me so upset is because he's in the school. He's at school. You got a chance. You have him there. Yeah, he's walking down the hallway, so what? You haven't walked down a hallway before? You haven't been late to a class before? I have. He's at the school. Do you think he wants to be at that school now? Moore had multiple scabs following the incident. Let's put those pictures back up. They hospitalized this child, skull fracture, scabs. Moore's grandmother, her name is Diane Morgan. She was called in by school officials saying that Moore had just failed. That's what the school officials said. They lied. That's why I'm calling them out today. They said, he just had an unfortunate tumble. He fell down. And all of these injuries happened because of a fall. What is that? That's called conspiracy. That's against the law too. Criminals are literally in charge of this school. When Morgan arrived to pick up her grandson, Moore was in a wheelchair, shaking while in handcuffs. Imagine picking up your child in that condition and the school system telling you, he just failed. It was his fault. The officer approached me and informed me that there was a little struggle, and just a little struggle. We were able to overcome that. Parris had slipped and fell and hit his head, according to the officer. Morgan took her grandson to the hospital when they found the true severity of his injuries. Thank God for a real grandmother who did not trust the word of that school official nor the cop and said, I'm taking my grandbaby to the hospital. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and that's exactly what they did. The family did not believe that the school's account was accurate, given the size of the skull fracture. They demanded to see the school security video. They were not given that video immediately. They decided to hire an attorney. A month later, the video was finally turned over and showed what really happened. She says, and I quote, my son was laying there, not being able to move at all. Why? Because he has brain damage now. And said Stephen Moore's mother, Stephen Moore, they're just digging through his pockets and he's just limp body laying there. That's on the video. Let's go ahead and put up the picture of the principal, okay, and the assistant principal. You have Auburn High in Rockford, Illinois, Principal Jennifer Kiefer and assistant principal Jonathan Gates. You see, the buck is supposed to stop with them. Now, according to the initial narrative, the principal was aware that this happened because it started with an engagement between the principal and the student. The CBS 2 Chicago investigators obtained federal data from the 2017-2018 school year, the most recent available. It shows Auburn High School referred students to police 72 times that year. 72 times in 1 year, resulting in 43 arrests of children from that one school. The data also revealed the school refers students more often to police than 94% of all other high schools in the whole United States of America. That includes some high school districts that have the most detrimental socioeconomic issues in that local community. They're beating all of them in arrest. Don't make them tell you or allow them to make you believe that arrest equates to crime. Just because a school system has a higher arrest rate does not mean they have high criminal activity, as you can see right here in this story. Let's put it up. Got the graphic. 2017, 2018 school year, 72 referrals to the police, 43 arrests. Rockford Public Schools superintendent. That's the guy in charge of everything, okay? Rockford Public Schools superintendent, Aaron Jarrett. That's him. Rockford School District and Police Department refused to comment on the head slam and the treatment of Parris. The family's attorney says they are filing a lawsuit next week. Damn it, file that lawsuit as fast as you can. Now, one of these executives, and that's what I call you because you're damn sure not public servants. I'm a former high school teacher myself. I would have exposed every single one of you. Now, to the teaching staff that's there, we already know your administrators are bull. They're straight full of you know what. But to the teachers that are there, this story should have came from you all. Somebody from the teaching ranks should have exposed this story to us. You may think that you're a good person because you don't body slam children. But if you know of that happening and you do nothing, you're not as good as you think you are. Stand up for these kids. You got into the teaching profession for the right reasons because it doesn't pay that much money. You got to get highly educated. You got to go through school, take tests, final exams, get a graduate degree typically. So I know your heart was in the right place at one point. I was raised by a school teacher. My mother who adopted me is a school teacher. Please make sure you are advocating for those children in every way possible, even outside of that school system. Rickey, thoughts here?
The officers should go to jail for assault, child endangerment. You know, the abuse that he took from the tough guy, police officer or whatever. Anybody that had anything to do with this case, as far as administration-wise, should also be held accountable.
Yeah.
For these actions. This kid probably, you know, as you said, is going to have permanent brain damage. And Dr. what is the whole purpose? Like you said, what is the whole purpose of having a police officer in the school, which is supposed to protect the children, and he doing that kind of damage? You're supposed to be protecting the kids or whatever. Why couldn't you pull the kid to the side and have a conversation with him? Why are you always so aggressive, towards children that you're supposed to protect? And walking down the hall, he wasn't walking down the hall with a weapon or walking down the hall drinking, smoking, or being violent towards other students or whatever. It just led to something, and that never should have taken place. I feel sorry for Parris Moore, and we pray for his family. I hope that he have a speedy recovery and can get back on his feet. But in the way they tried to downplay the situation, anybody that had a hand in that, even if you saw it and didn't say anything, you should be held. They should be held accountable and never allowed to work around kids again. Because your first order of business is to protect the kids, right, and be an advocate for the safety of our children.
So well said. I have a good friend who's a resource officer. He said his first obligation is to protect children. His second obligation is to mentor them. That's what he does. He loves his job as a resource officer. All right.